All right, here we go. You're watching Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Senior. Here's what we have coming your way on today's show. Doc Rivers has been linked to the Los Angeles Lakers to take over for Frank Vogel. He was able to address those coaching rumors. Alec Bohm with the Philadelphia Phillies did what Ben Simmons would never do and never did with the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll also talk Sixers Raptors first round in the NBA playoffs, keys for a Sixers victory in the first round of the playoffs. But first, the great rivalry continues on the basketball floor and inside the walls here at Chat Sports between Boston and Philadelphia. It's a great city rivalry. It's a great NBA rivalry. It's a great Chat Sports rivalry. Philadelphia 76ers now trying to close the gap in subscribers to Boston Celtics today. So if you want multiple videos per week covering the latest Sixers news and rumors, hit that red subscribe button down below or plug in that link, youtube.com/76erstv for the best Sixers coverage right here on YouTube. All right, we start off with Doc Rivers, him addressing those coaching rumors. He said this when asked about being linked to that Lakers gig as Frank Vogel has officially been fired. He said this, quote, "There's nothing I can do about it, but we talk a lot here and everybody's happy here. We want to get this right here in Philadelphia. I came here for one reason, and like I said, when I took the job, you're going to like some of the things I do. Some of you are not going to like some of the other things I do. And from a coaching point, you really can't care about that. But I am committed to winning. I just think that if we get this turned around, which we have from when I first got here until now, but when we win it, that is my focus, and our focus is winning." So when you talk about Doc Rivers and some of these other coaches who are currently employed in the NBA being linked to other NBA gigs, human nature certainly factors in. Imagine if my bosses were looking to replace me, or other people out there were talking about my current job status with the job that I'm currently employed with and get paid to do. It'd be a little bit weird, and it could affect our work ethic and our work environment. But also, Doc Rivers signed a 5-year deal, which reportedly pays him about $8 million per year to be the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers, and he is getting paid handsomely to win. And last year, Sixers blew a playoff lead in that series against the Atlanta Hawks, and they didn't take advantage of the Eastern Conference standings falling in their direction to make a deep playoff run and make it to the conference finals for the first time since 2001. Also this year, the Sixers up to this point have come up short, and they haven't impressed a lot of people following that James Harden trade. So if Doc Rivers fails to make it out of the first round, even the second round of the NBA playoffs, I think his job could be in jeopardy, and that's when the temperature beneath him gets a little bit hotter. So both things can be true. And here's the reality of the coaching profession, and Doc Rivers knows this. He was traded to the Clippers from the Boston Celtics because the seat beneath him got warm. He went from the Orlando Magic to the Boston Celtics prior to that, and he got fired by the Los Angeles Clippers because of countless blown 3-1 leads and them coming up short in the NBA playoffs. You're always living in the pressure cooker when you're the head coach of an NBA team, and the same can be said for Doc Rivers right now, but there's a reason why he's tied to the Los Angeles Lakers. He's won a lot of games, he's had a lot of success, and he did win a championship, even though it was a long time ago in 2008. Coming up next on the show, we're going to get to this hilarious Ben Simmons report and Ben Simmons tweet, and I'm going to compare what he hasn't done to what Alec Bohm of the Philadelphia Phillies did. That's around the corner. But first, if you're pumped up for the NBA playoffs, for this first round series between Philadelphia and Toronto, a feisty Raptors team making its way to the Wells Fargo Center Saturday night, Game 1 of the NBA playoffs, then hit that thumbs up icon and like the video and show me that you're pumped up for the big dance. Also, later on today's show, I'm going to reveal the answer to this trivia question on your screen right now. Which Philadelphia 76er holds the single season franchise record for dimes? Once again, get those votes in right now, and I will reveal that answer later on today's show. I do want to get to the latest with Ben Simmons, though, because just the ridiculousness around Ben Simmons continues to go out there, and honestly, there's so much baggage with Ben Simmons, and he's so exhausting. So how about this report from Scoop B? Ben Simmons' confidence is reportedly sky high as he hopes to return to the Nets in the first round of the NBA playoffs. Quote, "He's walking around like he's Michael Jordan." That is the report coming from Scoop B out of the Brooklyn Nets practice facility. That right there is ridiculous, and it's the perfect encapsulation of Ben Simmons. And Alec Bohm the other night did what Ben Simmons would never do and has never done with the Philadelphia 76ers. To get you caught up, Alec Bohm the other night at Citizens Bank Park made 3 errors in the first 3 innings of the game against the New York Mets. And of course, the Philadelphia faithful got on Alec Bohm for not making some routine plays at third base. And I understand that Joe Girardi probably shouldn't put him at third base because he's a terrible defender. But either way, on the 4th opportunity, Alec Bohm made a clean throw over to Rhys Hoskins at first base, and the Philadelphia faithful gave him a sarcastic cheer. He was then seen on camera saying to Didi Gregorius, "I fucking hate this place." He was asked about it after the game, and he owned up to it. He said, "Look, my emotions got the best of me, and I did say it." He admitted to his flaw. He admitted to his failure in the moment. He admitted to his slip-up and said, "I understand that the Philadelphia fans, they got on me because they care." That's something that Ben Simmons was never able to do in his multiple seasons in a Philadelphia 76ers uniform. He never took accountability. He never admitted to his flaws and weaknesses, and he never owned up to coming up in the guts of the game and in the biggest moments of the game. And Alec Bohm admitted what he did was wrong to the city of Philadelphia and understood what the fan base really wants from an athlete. Ben Simmons always ran away from it. That's the difference between Alec Bohm and Ben Simmons. Bohm did what Ben Simmons would never do. And that report of Ben Simmons walking around like he's Michael Jordan, I mean, producer Jeremy came up to me. He's in my ear right now. He's like, "You know what, Chase? You're walking around Chat Sports with some swagger. You're walking around with the confidence of a Colin Cowherd, a Dan Patrick, or a Scott Van Pelt. You're taken to the airwaves like you're a bigwig, like you should be making millions of dollars a year. Hopefully at some point I'll get there." But that's kind of the perfect Ben Simmons encapsulation. He's delusional, and he never understood what the Philadelphia fan base wanted out of him, which was to just shoot the basketball and own up to the fact that you choked in the playoffs and you were awful from the free throw line. I rooted for Ben Simmons for a long time, but when it came to him just failing to take ownership of his shortcomings, that's when people get frustrated in a blue-collar city like Philly. So do you want to see Ben Simmons do well with the Brooklyn Nets? That's my next question for the audience before we get to the Sixers-Raptors keys to the playoff series. Type Y for yes or type N for no. Really appreciate all of your feedback. Coming up next on the show, keys to the Sixers advancing against a really good and tough Toronto Raptors team, led by one of the best head coaches in the NBA in Nick Nurse. We'll also get to that trivia question reveal, but first, let's take a look at the Eastern Conference odds to win the East. Milwaukee Bucks leading the charge at plus 275, followed by the Brooklyn Nets at plus 325, Miami Heat at plus 450, Boston Celtics at plus 450. That first round series between Brooklyn and Boston is fascinating for a multitude of reasons. So many storylines, so much star power with KD, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Kyrie Irving. And are the Philadelphia 76ers getting disrespected in the odds? Fifth at 5-1 odds. If you want to make some bets and lay some money down throughout the NBA playoffs, you can do so thanks to our sportsbook partner, BetUS. All year, they've been offering the best deposit bonus that anybody has to offer, including all sportsbooks out there. Plug in that link down below, chatsports.com/bet, and the promo code CHAT125 for that 125% deposit bonus. Answer to that trivia question before we get to the keys of Sixers Raptors in the first round. It's Maurice Cheeks. Mo Cheeks, one of the OGs in the history of this franchise. It came in 1985, 1986, when Mo Cheeks established a franchise record 753 dimes. That same season, he had 207 steals and a career-high 1,200-plus points. He was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame as a player back in 2018, and obviously the former Philadelphia 76er player was also a former Philadelphia 76ers head coach when Allen Iverson was crossing cats over. Okay, let's get to my keys to this first round series between the Sixers and the Raptors. Joel Embiid, with the length of that Toronto defense and the athleticism all across that Toronto Raptors defense and roster, is going to get swarmed. It's going to be imperative for him to handle those double teams well and not turn the basketball over and display his passing ability, which has really grown from year to year with passing out of those double teams. That's going to be the game plan from Nick Nurse in Toronto. They're going to double team Joel Embiid to force others on the floor for Philadelphia to put the biscuit in the basket. And speaking of that, I transition to this. The length of Toronto is really going to bother James Harden, especially with the lack of explosiveness, with the lack of speed, and that hamstring injury continuing to be an ailment for James Harden. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of traps from Toronto and them trying to double team him as well as Joel Embiid as soon as James Harden crosses half court. And when it gets to the late part of the game, when the Sixers have to operate their half court offense, look for Toronto to really send a couple of defenders at James Harden and also do the same things in moments with Joel Embiid. And because of that, Tyrese Maxey, his ability to create off the dribble, score off the dribble, and find Twine from all three levels is going to be an important component of this series. Because Embiid is going to get pressured, and because James Harden is going to get double-teamed and bothered by that Toronto Raptors length and athleticism, Tyrese Maxey, in my opinion, is the X factor in this series. He's going to have to come through, and he's going to have to display that scoring ability at all three levels to take pressure off of Joel Embiid and James Harden. As for Tobias Harris, do what you've been doing, Toby. He has put up really good shooting numbers that have been efficient the last couple of weeks, and he has perfected that corner three because he has been left vacant in that corner spot, and he's been able to take advantage of the corner pocket triple. So he's going to have to do the same thing against the Toronto Raptors. And then a couple of things left. Nick Nurse against Doc Rivers. That is a coaching mismatch for Philadelphia and a coaching favor for Toronto and a coaching edge for the Raptors. I think Nick Nurse is going to be able to run laps around Doc Rivers. Doc, he's going to have to make adjustments, and his substitution patterns are going to have to be better. And if you have to put out Paul Reed out there instead of DeAndre Jordan, that's what you have to do. And then obviously Philadelphia going to miss the defensive play of Matisse Thybulle on the road in at least games 3 and 4. Who gets the dub in this series? Give me your playoff predictions down in the comment section. PHI for Philly, TOR for the boys north of the border. I'm going with the Sixers in 7, but I don't have confidence in saying that. Also, give me a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. Feel free to slide in my DMs as we can talk some Sixers basketball, NBA basketball. I do a whole lot of things here at Chat Sports covering the NBA, NFL, as well as college football. Love interacting with the audience. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and keep it locked here for more Sixers news and rumors.